Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. I'm here to tell you about Boll & Branch sheets. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Boll & Branch sheets get softer with every wash. They're made from the rarest organic cotton and designed to get even softer over time. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee plus 15% off your first order with code Odyssey. So head to BOLLandbranch.com today. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
This is GoPowerCat.com publisher Tim Fitzgerald with great news to share with our valued 24/7 Sports VIP members. As a way of saying thank you, a subscription to a CBS All-Access commercial-free plan is now included with your 24/7 Sports VIP membership at no additional cost. Watch all of your favorite shows on demand along with exclusive access to GoPowerCat's award-winning and one-of-a-kind coverage of Kansas State sports. Stream more than 10,000 episodes, all access originals, and live TV, including NFL on CBS games. Enjoy the CBS All Access commercial-free plan, a $99.99 annual value for the lifetime of your 24/7 Sports VIP membership. It's an incredible added value for our subscribers, and it's time you probably take advantage of this deal and become a GoPowerCat member. And remember to subscribe to the PowerCat podcast at your favorite podcast provider, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Now, here is your PowerCat podcast.
The following is a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowerCat.com's PowerCat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, and it starts right now. Now, let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here's your host, GoPowerCat.com publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to the PowerCat Questions podcast. This is my third attempt to start this podcast because I'm in such a good mood. Tim Fitzgerald, Riley Gates, Zach Carlson here in the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. We're sponsored by The Fridge. You know the spiel. I can't spell spiel, but you know it. Go to The Fridge. We've got home games coming up here in Manhattan in the near future. Not this weekend, they'll be in Texas. But when you're in town, you got to stop at The Fridge. You got to do it. It's a requirement. This podcast is free, and I think you should go ahead and subscribe to the website. But if you're not going to do that, at least stop in The Fridge and say, hey, I heard your ad on the podcast. I heard your ad on the podcast.
My personal ad for The Fridge is that I think they bring good luck.
Oh.
I left at halftime of the Cowboys game last night. It was 13-12 Dallas.
You don't think it was the cat. It was The Fridge.
That cat, I was very worried it was going to end in a 40-point loss. But it was 13-12. Cowboys end up cruising. So all I'm saying is that the Fridge Wholesale Liquor may or may not have, but definitely did have an impact on the Dallas-New York game last night.
Now, we have already recorded the overtime, so here's a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. It's too early in the morning for me to speak. There's a question about what announcer you would want to call your life, like
everyday moments.
I feel really good about my choice after last night.
Yep, that's a good take.
Oh, boy. This segment's brought to you by Tanner's. Get into Tanner's whenever you can. It's the best place in town to go watch sports. Great food, great people, great location right there at the corner of Aggieville at 12th and Morrow. It's just...
Had the chicken sandwich last week.
At?
Tanner's.
Tanner's. Was there a big line for it?
No, I was the first person in the door. I was out running errands. I had church on Friday afternoon, so I was like, I'm not going to drive all the way home and then come back. And I was like, screw it, I'll go to Tanner's for lunch. And it was meatloaf day / chicken sandwich day. And I thought about the meatloaf because of what you said about it, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go lighter. I don't need to fall asleep in church.
That is the problem with the meatloaf. And it comes with mashed potatoes and gravy.
And I was iffy about a grilled chicken sandwich because I usually get like crispy chicken sandwiches when I get them.
You like the fried?
It was damn good.
Yeah, let's start a stampede for the Tanner's chicken sandwich. Have you heard about the Tanner's chicken sandwich? It's fabulous. It's better than that cartoon character guy. Chicken sandwich.
Oh, I was like, what?
I'm in a good mood, guys. I voted. It's Tuesday when we're recording. I voted. I've been to the doctor. I got a shot, and it wasn't whiskey, but it was in my butt, so that kind of evens out. And
never mind. I was going to say something, but never mind.
That's a great soundbite to just extract totally out of context. But it was in my butt. And now I'm here dealing with you. We got a Chris Kleiman press conference coming up. I've got other stuff scheduled today. And let's get to it. Your questions from Wabash Station. But first, Zach has a very special announcement about our score picking contest that has no prize other than this.
So we actually had 2 winners this week.
2 winners!
Because all of the scores were really bad. Like, everybody gave KU way more credit than what they...
I didn't.
But Purple Crown Royale had 38-13. He was 3 off. And then Woodstock Cat was also 3 off. He was 38-7.
Let the record reflect that Riley Gates has now correctly predicted the score in K-State victories 1.5 times. I nailed Mississippi State, and I got the 38 points on K-State.
38
right.
Seemed to be a popular choice. That was my score, too. I just gave KU way too much credit.
I gave KU 17. So
that's too much credit. I gave him more. I gave him 24.
Close. If they hadn't been that close, Zach would have had to read my name.
Yeah, we're not doing that ever.
Yeah, no, you're out. You're out because you're still bitching about the fact that you picked someone else's score.
I had it before he did. It was in the admin saved.
Yeah, whatever.
You sound like the guy at Best Buy on Black Friday seeing somebody else take the TV, and you're like, but that's mine.
I saw it first.
I saw it in the ad. It's mine.
I hate you guys.
These are your questions from Wabash Station. You're what makes the podcast great. Not us, you.
We've got a bunch of new people in this podcast.
We're growing like crazy.
The celebration of the Oklahoma win brought a lot of new faces.
Hey, we're blowing up here at Go PowerCat. Tell your friends that CBS All Access thing. It's incredible. I've been watching it. Oh man, my favorite new show's on CBS. So if you have the All Access Pass now, you got to go watch Evil. It is so good. It's one of the best. It feels like a Netflix, Amazon type show that they actually put on TV. You know, I think programming on streaming is so much better than your typical, just cookie cutter TV crap. Here's another cop show that is like every other cop show, but in a different city with a different cast, but it's just like that. And you know that Grey's Anatomy? Hey, we got a Chicago version now, and it's all soap opera crap. The streaming entities do a really good job, but Evil on CBS, if you haven't seen it, man, it's legit. You'd like it. It's the Catholic version of the X-Files.
Just because I'm Catholic, I would like the show.
Yeah, it's about a group of investigators investigating phenomena for the Catholic Church, see if it's possessions.
Interesting.
It's really, really well done.
From KSU Peacock, he's new. Welcome, KSU Peacock. In what chapter of Brent Dearman's book was that butt whooping?
Quality first question.
That was in the appendix.
Man, they kicked his ass.
Scotty Hazelton dismantled that offense, and they're still in denial. They're trying to say Carter Stanley did bad reads and stuff, and no. Most of that offense, as it turns out, is pre-snap reads. There might be a small read afterwards, but it wasn't a true run-pass option. Do you want to know what a true option looks like? K-State ran it at him. I hadn't thought of that. That almost was like, hey, you guys don't know what an option is. Here's an option. This is what an option is. The quarterback on the fly in the split second makes a decision. And you could pass out of that. I bet you they have that, man. I bet you they have that where you
pull back.
Yeah, Skylar pulls back off of it.
Let me preface this by saying I still think Brent Dearman is a very good coach. I still want him to get a job this year, so he's out of Lawrence. However, Scotty Hazelton flat out embarrassed him. That was an amazing performance. And I think, I just said this on a radio segment, you only have to watch one play to know just how dominant K-State's defense was over that offense, and it was the Daquan Patton interception. I think everybody in the stadium knew that interception was coming except for Carter Stanley. He stared his receiver down the whole time. He had no idea what Daquan was doing, and then boom, Daquan's there. That was like one of the best moves I've ever seen.
I mean, it was pure scouting. It was preparation, perfectly executed by the player. They knew exactly what he was going to do on that play. They knew exactly what he was going to do. And Carter Stanley probably couldn't see Daquan until after he threw the ball. He probably popped right up as the ball was on in its flight. It was brilliant. If I'm Colorado State and I need a new coach, I probably am looking at coordinators in the Big 12.
You've got a thing with Colorado State this week.
I do. Well, I love Fort Collins. I just think it would be wonderful to be able to travel there on a regular basis as part of our job. It would be nice.
I just meant more of the example. You want Brent Dearman to go to Colorado State now. Like, why not? Why not?
No, I didn't say Brent Dearman's name. That's certainly someone to look at. But how about Scotty Hazelton?
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood your.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. I think Brent Dearman would be the more likely candidate because he's offense. Everyone wants offense and it's sexy. But the guy was just a dominant defensive coordinator in your conference. He's gone to the Big 12 and proving he can do it there. If you're Colorado State, why don't you have Scotty Hazelton on your head coaching list?
I'd have to do some research. I don't know who the last defensive coordinator. Maybe there's an obvious one, but like the last guy to go D coordinator to big time head coach, because like it doesn't feel like that happens that often.
Chris Kleiman.
Well, he got promoted at an FCS school.
Yeah, it doesn't because everyone wants offense, but. Do you think Scotty Hazelton would fit into the culture of Fort Collins just
oh my God, he's from there, I would bet.
Yeah,
I don't care what his bio says. He's from Fort Collins, Colorado.
Yeah, he's just out doing the brewery tours on his day off. Out hunting stuff, climbing a mountain, wrestling an elk. I'm head coach Scotty Hazelton. I just kicked this elk's ass. I'll see you at the stadium.
From K-Ned, which stat do you like better? Tying our own Sunflower Showdown win streak at 11? Since 2010, K-State has as many Big 12 wins in Lawrence as KU does at 6 each, or KU has only won in Manhattan 3 times since 1978.
The second one.
Hold on, back up. Read the second one again because it's so good.
Since 2010, K-State has as many Big 12 wins in Lawrence as KU does at 6 each.
That's absurd.
It.
That has to be it.
That's it.
Yeah, the Manhattan thing's kind of cool, but you should win at home. And the 11 years in a row is cool, but at some point it's going to end. You've been atrocious at home for so long. It has to be number 2.
Now, winning 11 straight in the Bleeding Kansas Bowl, I'm just going with it.
The Bleeding Kansas Bowl.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the Civil War, and you play for John Brown's rifle. I'm all in on this, guys. I'm all in. I'm so tired of the Sunflower Showdown and a damn cup from the governor. Oh, the governor was in the locker room. So what? Who cares? It's a governor. It's elected official. Let's play for John Brown's rifle.
Honestly, I mean, how did Farmageddon start? Because that wasn't like a school sanctioned thing. So I think if we make a big enough push, we could probably make it happen.
The Bleeding Kansas Bowl. I don't know if Dillons would want to attach their name to it, but I know a lot of businesses would. Well, actually, I don't know that at all. But 2 is the answer. Winning as many games in Lawrence in the Big 12 as KU over the last 9-10 years is fabulous. It's unbelievable.
From Herdez Joe, I like rushing for 300 yards, 300 plus more yards than passing for 300 plus yards. It makes me feel good. Am I the crazy one?
Absolutely not.
No. Maybe it means you're a little bit older, more traditionalist.
But even someone like I'm 23, and even me, I'd much rather run for 300 than pass for 300. Because passing for 300, I don't want to say it's easy, but like if you've got a competent quarterback that in an offense that throws the ball a lot, you're going to get there. 300 yards on the ground means you just took it to your opponent. You dominated it. You told him who was boss. You owned the trenches, things like that. That means you were the better team. And that's what happened against KU. That's what happened against Oklahoma. That's what happened in those first 2 games of the season. There was no question who the better team on the field was in every game that K-State's won this year, minus TCU. You could make an argument one way or the other, I guess. But
well, I just love K-State would run for 5-6 yards and KU would celebrate the tackle. And I'm like, you fools, that's exactly what they want to do to you.
Side note, that's my biggest pet peeve in football.
It's horrible. They just gained 10 yards, but I made the tackle. Look at me.
The defender waving his arms incomplete when the ball was sailed 15 yards out of bounds, or like it just bounced off a guy's hands. Should have made the catch. Yeah. Step down. I got you covered, boy.
Yeah.
No,
you didn't do anything on that play. Yeah, I just love it. I'm like, you know what? If K-State picks up 5-6 yards a carry, you are going to be battered and beleaguered by the third quarter, and they were. By the middle of that third quarter, once K-State scored on its first possession of that, they were done. They didn't want anything to do with that game. They wanted out of there.
From Randolph the Iguana, aside from the fact that the penalties held us back a bit, did you like that the team had a little bit of nasty in them while they were throttling the Beakers?
Yeah.
Yeah, because KU was, even later in the game, some of them were still trying to intimidate K-State with just nonsense, just trash talking, chest thumping, no substance to their game. It was like that was their game plan. We're going to scare them, and K-State didn't back down. Yeah, some of the penalties were silly. You got to contain it a little bit, and some of the penalties were silly because they were called. But yeah,
I liked it. It reminded me. This is kind of embarrassing because I can't think of the name of who it was. But on the Miracle Manhattan documentary, there's that clip of the player that kind of like goes into the opposing team's huddle and he's like shaking his head. And like that was kind of like the swagger of those old teams,
yep.
And I kind of like that. I like team. I don't want you bragging. I don't want your mouth running more than you can back it up. But I also kind of want you, when you do something really good, flaunt about it. Brag a little bit. Stick your chest out. It's kind of fun. Sports are meant to be fun. Now they're throwing too many flags nowadays. You can't. The fact that the ball spin on Jerron McPherson's interception is a penalty. That's a joke to me. Like, I get it. He's taunting them literally right in front of them. But what's unsportsmanlike about that? I mean, he's celebrating his play. It's getting tougher to celebrate, but it's still fun. I still think you should do it, even if it means a couple personal fouls here and there.
I don't remember that, but that sounds what you referenced, the Miracle in Manhattan video, but that sounds like Niall Wyron. He was a badass.
I almost want to say you're right. I have to go look now.
He's the one who spiked the, I always say quarterback on his head, back when you could do that. Just picked him up and spiked him on his head. Seems a little dangerous in hindsight, but
targeting.
It was a personal foul in today's football.
From KSU number 1, if you could give a letter grade to this referee crew, what would it be?
A big fat
F.
I want to say F, yeah.
Look, you know me. Am I a conspiracy theorist?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that really felt like they were working the under. Every time a team kind of got going, they backed them up. They did it to KU later in the game. The under was 55. If one more touchdown had been scored, it was going to get them to the over or get them to the push.
Dang.
I felt like they were working the under really hard. If you go back through the history of that crew, there's a lot of weird stuff that's gone on, not just with K-State. They're the ones who called the mysterious pass interference in a national championship game. Was that Michigan-Miami way back when? And they changed the outcome of a game or the score. And that's the same. That's his crew. There's a lot of weird stuff that's gone on with that crew. Why they're still around? I didn't think they were around. I hadn't seen them all year. And all of a sudden, here they are on a weekend when hardly anyone's playing. They show up. Get them out of the Big 12. They're awful.
K-State had a lot of boneheaded penalties in that game. The unsportsmanlike we touched on. The holdings were just like, what are you doing? You're better than them. Why are you holding them?
You know what I decided? That they're fouling all the time and making refs call it. Some of the holdings were ridiculous. I'm out here just holding onto your jersey right in front of a ref, but yeah, it's crazy.
But at the same time, I was like, okay, I'm not sitting here trying to start the K-State's getting the shaft argument, but the fact that KU had one penalty and K-State had like 9 at one point, that's a little absurd.
The one that really bothered me when Skyler was tackled at the boundary, and the KU player had his foot long after the play's over and flipped him over on his head. Like, why wasn't that a penalty?
We went back and watched that with Ross. Blatant late hit out of bounds. Like, I said it out loud in the press box when it happened. I was like, look, I don't think it was a late hit, but by the letter of the law, it probably should have been called. Then I went back and watched it yesterday with Ross. And, oh, my God, it was a late hit.
The play's way over. He's got him by the foot. Instead of just dropping the foot, he lifts it and tips Skyler over. I mean, absolutely should have been a penalty. That was very strange. After all the stuff they had called, they didn't call that.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Right, clearly in front of officials. Wasn't like it happened away and nobody saw it. I guess the center that got called for punching, I think it was Mitty in the helmet, earlier took a total cheap shot at someone, like standing around a pile of bodies and just uncorked on someone well after the whistle and didn't get called for it. It was a weird day. It was a weird day. I'm glad it didn't affect the outcome in any way. It just affected the amount of butt kicking that took place, because that was a butt kicking, and if without the penalties, it would have been an ass whooping. That's pretty much my analysis of the game. That'll be $1.
From Purple My Nurple, how many interceptions did our defense have last year? I don't remember there being a lot, and it feels like we pick up a couple every week now.
God dang it. I always put these...
And you're going to do the research, then you forget to do the research.
Yes. I literally, as I assembled these questions this morning, I was like, man, I should have that ready to go. I should have that pulled up.
I feel like the basic scheme here, to really boil it down, is last year and previous years, K-State's defense was asked to play on its heels, always be ready to back up. And now they're asked to play on their toes, and they're breaking on balls. They're making better reads. They're better prepared to make plays on the ball. They had 9 last year.
Yep.
What are they at this year?
Damn.
That was kind of the basis of the question. I'll keep stalling over here, Riley Gates, while you continue to do research.
I think it's 6, but I don't know. Let me look. My bad. No, the big thing with me is the fact that they've had as many that they've had this year. It hasn't been like a lot of fluky ones, you know. A lot of those times you can get put in the wrong or get put in the right spot, and it just kind of falls into your lap there. K-State has 8 interceptions this year.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize it was 8. That's pretty impressive.
Nice.
From Michael Harry, another new one. Welcome.
Hold on. Is his name Michael Harry? Or is it like 2 friends named Michael and Harry?
Well, if it's 2 friends named Michael and Harry, we need to talk about joint account sharing.
I think that's against the terms and conditions.
Is Michael Harry? I don't know. That's just confusing. Maybe it's just a hairy guy named Michael.
It's spelled Harry like a name, not Harry like.
Maybe he's a bad speller that's Harry named Michael.
It's fair.
Was the quick post-game coach's handshake normal for Coach Kleiman, or was the short exchange just for less?
New wrinkle in this. So first off, I was already on the bandwagon that this was not a good relationship.
Les Miles has been disrespectful to Kansas State. And
did you see Reed Nyvar's tweet?
No.
Apparently, Les Miles snubbed Kleiman at a Big 12 meeting this year. So, like, because, look, first off, it was definitely short. It was definitely a short handshake, and it was definitely that short because Chris Kleiman wanted it to be short. He is the reason that was such a weird interaction, because he bailed.
When are KU fans going to set aside
he deleted it.
The few victories? Yeah, they probably didn't want that out. The few victories Les Miles is trying to provide them, and realize your coach isn't all there. There's something wrong. And it's almost like, oh, we know he's not all there, but he's winning football games, so that's okay. You know, it's just, it makes me uncomfortable. Not only, we talked about this on a previous podcast, it makes me uncomfortable how disjointed his speaking is and his behavior is. But it makes me uncomfortable that KU fans are like, oh, it's
that's less.
That's less. You're not worried that something's seriously wrong with your coach?
If he truly believes that K-State didn't do anything defensively to ruin their passing game, then he's literally lost it.
There's talking to pump up your team, and there's a disassociation with reality that is so insincere that your team doesn't buy it, your fans shouldn't buy it, and they should be questioning your ability to coach football or be attached to reality when you say that's the greatest environment in which you've ever coached, that you didn't see any K-State fans there, that K-State's defense didn't do anything that affected your offense. You have lost your mind. That goes beyond talking to puff yourself up. It's just kind of sad. So I have decided I'm all in favor of Les Miles staying at KU. He might win more football games, but it is damn entertaining to watch them think he's a god when he is a shell of the man who won a national championship. And as far as I can tell, they are not setting up anyone in the short term to take over.
I think they want it to be Brent Dearman.
Well, good for them. Good for them.
But that's not going to happen.
From Schultem43, another new one, welcome. When it's all said and done, will the Les Miles experiment at KU have a positive or negative outcome from their perspective?
I think from their perspective it would be positive, because I have said this over and over. I don't think he's there to accomplish anything awesome on the football field. I think what he's done so far this year feels satisfying to them. Maybe Saturday didn't, but they played Texas close. They were ahead of Oklahoma early. They've won 3 games now.
Yes.
Yeah. If they win a 4th, man, that'll feel really good. They'll feel good about it. But he's getting the donors to open up the checkbooks to rebuild the facilities. They have to improve their facilities. They have to come up with a plan that is not only financially feasible, tangible in terms of being competitive in the Big 12, and looks good on them. I mean, Shane Zinger wanted to build 60,000 seats. What are you thinking, dude? I mean, seriously, this was one of the biggest games KU football's had in many years, certainly since Mangino left, and it took 15,000 K-Staters and a bunch of free ticket giveaways to sell out the stadium. Build it small, build it beautiful, build every kind of locker room, practice facility, coaching offices, administrative offices. Build exactly what K-State's done. Try to replicate that in your own look. That's what he's there for, to get things turned around in terms of the necessities of being a major college football program. They don't have it. They just don't have it, and they need someone to get it done. And if stoic Les Miles, who apparently doesn't have facial expressions anymore, can get the money raised, job accomplished, who's the next guy? Oh, yeah, and get some recruits in here. Who's the next guy to take over with the facilities and some bodies? Period. That's his job. Chris Kleiman came to K-State to kick ass, and he's doing it.
Another new one from BVWJ. Welcome. The improvement week over week is drastic. Did it just take this long to get the new playbooks properly rehearsed and into the players' comfort zones?
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
It's you can sit here and pound on a system for 4 months in the off season, whatever, 5 months, 6 months, and you can know the playbook backwards and forwards, but until you actually do it in a game against a team that doesn't know what's coming, like you don't go through those issues. Hey, when this doesn't work, what do we do? What do we go from there? And every team in college football, set aside Alabama, Clemson, those guys that run the table every year, every team goes through a little bit of a rough patch. I mean, where they just look horrendous. Texas is kind of doing it right now, the 3-game stretch where they've lost 2, and the only one they won was that barely win against KU. So every team that isn't an elite national championship contending team is going to have a little bit of a struggle, and K-State had that against Oklahoma State and Baylor. They got too overconfident. They probably didn't take Oklahoma State serious enough, and they were thrown out of their rhythm. And then they lost to a Baylor team that right now is better than them. Flat out, that's just what happened in that stretch, and now they're back on track. So I think getting the playbook implemented and into the game plan, I think has a little bit to do with it, but I also think it's just kind of the nature of college football at the same time.
You can know what to do. You can understand what you're supposed to do. But until you do it as a reflex you're really not playing at speed. They look like they were, just immediately without thinking. DeQuan looked like that. They'd never shown that before, but they'd practice it. And DeQuan was so well rehearsed that he immediately recognized the keys. Boom, I go here. And he did it without hesitation, because if he hesitates, he's probably not there to make the pick.
Last question of the first half from Jim Cat. Do we give Kleiman a 10-year contract extension now or after the season? Same question for the coordinators.
For 10 years, wow. On a serious note, you probably do need to restructure the coordinator contracts after this year.
Absolutely.
Because those are the ones that are going to leave. I don't think you need to restructure Chris Kleiman's contract unless he wins 9 or 10 games in a bowl. Then you can give him an extension. But if he goes 8-4 or 9-3 and loses the bowl, I think you got to see it over the course of a few years before you start throwing extensions out there. And then, if it goes drastically south in the next few years, you're wrapped into something really bad. But the coordinators can bolt really quickly. The coordinators are far more likely to be gone and out the door than Chris Kleiman is.
Well, I don't think Courtney Messingham's going anywhere.
Right.
I think he's going to stay at Chris Kleiman's side. They've kind of got a thing going. If he got offered a Power 5 job, you'd have to take it because of the money. But I don't think that's going to happen. He's a little bit older. He's not the sexy hire teams would want. Maybe he needs to grow a beard like Scotty Hazelton. Maybe K-State needs the ZZ Top of coordinators, and then everything will look really good. I think Hazelton will be gone. It's kind of in his history. It looks like he moves around a lot.
You think this year?
If he gets a head coaching job offer, yeah. I don't think he's going to pick up and leave for another Power 5 coordinator job. I think K-State will match it.
Yeah.
But some of those places, Brent Venables getting paid a couple $1 million not to be a head coach and to be the coordinator. Someone really wants him. They might be able to offer something K-State can't. There are bigger budgets.
I feel like you'd need an Illinois to fire Lovie Smith or a school like that, because Florida State's not going after Scotty Hazelton.
No.
That's not going to happen. Rutgers sounds like they're going to go back to Greg Schiano.
They should. They should.
Fair, but still a little scary.
He's their Bill Snyder.
There's not a big job out there that's going to open up that he's going to be eligible for. So be concerned when a school, like I said, Illinois, Northwestern is a train wreck right now, by the way. Pat Fitzgerald is going to be fired.
He's fine. He's named Fitzgerald. He's fine. They are a train wreck right now.
Oh, my God. They might be the worst team in the Big Ten.
What happened? They've been competitive.
I don't know. They were ranked 2 years ago.
It's crazy. Bringing shame to my father's name.
But I wouldn't extend Chris Kleiman's contract unless he wins 10 games.
I might restructure. If he wins 10 games, for God's sakes, heaven forbid he plays in the Big 12 championship. I think you do at that point. You say, okay, here, let's put another digit or two in there. I don't know. Maybe give him an extra $100,000 for every win.
Another digit, or just change the digit?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I was like, wait a minute.
Add a 0 to the end?
I'm like, look, he's done a good job. I don't know if he's worth a $10 million extension.
He's now being paid $30 million. That seems excessive.
Step aside, Nick Saban.
Yeah, no, I'd probably change that digit. Add another digit to it, as in from 3 to 4, which seems a lot, but if you look at the salaries out there, that's the problem. It's market-driven. You got to kind of keep up. But I don't think Kleiman's going anywhere, at least in the short term. I don't think he wants to go through this again at Northwestern or Iowa or wherever. I think he wants to see what happens over the next 5-10 years at Kansas State. And if he stays that long, then he's into his 50s. And I think as long as K-State takes care of him, he'll be here. Iowa might be the one, but, at some point, you become like Bill Snyder. He was from Iowa. Everyone thought he'd go back to Iowa. That never, happened as an option. But eventually, K-State becomes your home. We see it with people in the athletic department who might be a graduate of another school, another former Big 8 institution maybe, but they've been in Manhattan so long. They've been in Manhattan longer than they ever spent in their other town. and they've been around K-State, eventually it just becomes your place. So, I worry about Hazleton leaving, but as in I was discussing with Ross Uglum, at the end of the day, it's Chris Kleiman's defense. That's what they're running.
It's fair.
I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. It's good to talk about the ramifications of winning. I want to remind people that Chris Kleiman has won 6 games with 4 to play, with mostly players that were inherited. That's a remarkable feat. A team that went 5-7 last year. They've added a few running backs. They brought in a few freshmen that are helping. But they also lost some players that helped quite a bit last year. Alex Barnes would have been nice to have.
Oh, my God.
He would fit this offense perfectly.
He might win the Doak Walker in this offense.
So, fun times ahead. Even if they end up losing 3 of their last 4, 7 wins would exceed what we thought was going to happen in Manhattan. Keep some context to it. But go ahead and get fitted for that Big 12 championship ring. Just in case. That's all I'm saying, just in case. We'll be back after this break. This is the PowerCat Questions Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. We've got another half. We got more of this, but you got to wait.
Stay locked in. The PowerCat Podcast will be right back.
Getting the crew together isn't as easy as it used to be. We get it. Life comes at you fast. But trust us, your pals are desperate for a good hang. And when they hear you stock the party with drinks from Drizzly, they'll be banging down your door. Let Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery, take care of the supplies. All you need is an excuse. It doesn't even have to be a good one. It's your dog's birthday. The loquats are finally ripe. Whatever. With Drizzly, you can compare prices on a massive selection of beer, wine, and spirits and get them delivered straight to your door. Which means you can entice the crew to leave their houses without ever leaving yours. Whatever the occasion, download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
My days working and taking care of my little ones can be a lot. I checked out care.com and it was so easy for me to find local, experienced, and background check sitters. Finding our babysitter was way more affordable than I thought.
Care.com makes it super easy. Search for qualified candidates. You can view their profiles, read reviews and ratings, check their availability, send messages directly, and get the help that you need. Care.com should be every person's go-to.
We now send it back to Fitz in the WTC Gig-Powered Studios.
Welcome back to the PowerCat Questions Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. We are comfortable here in the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. I have a fan blowing on me. It's the only fan I have, other than my wife. And my dogs are fans, but they don't listen to the podcast. They don't know how to tell Alexa to play the PowerCat podcast.
Do you tell Alexa how to play the PowerCat podcast?
Yeah, I had to set it up. Spotify won't play it through Alexa. I mean, I've got Spotify enabled on my... It's just kind of weird. I've had problems with other... I had to set up something called MyPod, and you have to add your podcast to a playlist in your Alexa on... You got to activate the Alexa skill and then add that in on their website. It's really kind of confusing. But once you do it, you say, Alexa, ask MyPod to play the PowerCat podcast. You need to enunciate, too. She gets very confused by PowerCat podcast. I can tell her to turn off my lights, and she does that just fine. But PowerCat podcast baffles her little robot mind. And then she plays the latest version. And if you've heard that, you can say, skip this one, and then she'll go play the one before that. It's kind of fancy. It's technology.
That's how it works.
And she's also spying on me for the government. It's a yin and yang. You kind of give and take. This segment's brought to you. This segment's brought to you by the High Low. Get in the High Low. Say hi to everyone. Get low.
Get low.
Play a little Milwaukee roulette. Give them $3. Get a beer out of a Pepsi machine. It's kind of magical. It's really kind of fun. And then you can go, if you're a guy, you can go to the bathroom with the entire cast of The Princess Bride. If you're a woman, you get to go with Wonder Woman. I think they got these backwards. That's just me. Now's your question from Wabash Station.
From KSU number 1, could Texas be Coach Kleiman's toughest game yet as head coach of the Wildcats with the recent success?
I think in some ways I get what he's saying. As success mounts, TCU was nice. Oklahoma was dramatic. He handled the rebound to win the Bleeding Kansas Bowl against what's really turned up to be a nice rivalry. Because Les Miles is an idiot, he stirred up the hornet's nest. David Beatty kicked ass. Les Miles is like, I don't even know who they are. Well, okay.
He kicked ass or he kissed ass?
Kissed ass.
I think you said kicked.
I heard kicked, too.
Yeah.
Oh, David Beatty kissed ass. Kissed ass. Kissed. Thank you for the sound effect.
There you go.
That's what David Beatty did. And it worked. I mean, the games are closer. He didn't fire anyone up. He avoided bulletin board material. Hell, Les Miles built a bulletin board. Here's a bulletin board. I'll give you some material to fill this with. So,
can I just say something real quick about that? Is that, yes, I get where the bulletin board material came from with the who's K-State, all that stuff. But every coach in America would say something similar when fired up in the locker room. The problem is that KU allowed it to get published and on the show. They should have axed that.
They did exactly what I've been saying. If you're going to do this show, you do it. And they haven't been. They haven't been honest with that show, and they did it this time. Here's another conspiracy theory. Something was edited there. If you look, there's kind of a strange pause that seems to be – that doesn't – how he says it looks like something was taken out. My theory is there was a who the blank is K-State because the player reaction doesn't match up to who's K-State. It doesn't. Why do you erupt over that? But who the F is K-State?
Fair.
Will get your players.
Fair.
I'll have
Texas.
to go watch it.
Texas game. Yeah, do that. You're a video guy. Go check that out. See what you think.
We'll analyze it.
Texas is a big game. Texas is healthy. They're more healthy. They're coming off an off weekend. We're going to have a great pregame show for you tomorrow, Thursday morning. It'll release on Go PowerCat. I forgot where I worked for a second. Too much going on. And it's a tough matchup. It's another road game. But I love the process. I've bought into the process. It's like get a little bit better every day. Like I said in my column, it's the same thing. The process. Win that day. That's what he's talking about. It's Wednesday right now as you're listening to this, or you can listen to it later, but when this was released, do whatever's on your agenda for Wednesday. Just handle whatever's in front of you at that moment, and then the next day handle that, and eventually it's game day and handle that. And on Sunday, you need to make the mental shift on to whatever's next. It's one day at a time.
24-hour rule.
Personified. It's fun to watch him play out this process. And in that process, they'll be supremely prepared for Texas. Again, injuries seem to be the one obstacle that stands between this program and really unexpected success, and I would bet they'll be without A.J. Parker. So, yeah, that's not ideal going to Texas. But I think they'll have the running backs back, although I think James Gilbert will be limited.
From T. Newman 41, will Skyler continue to get the green light in the running game? The offense is much better with him as a run threat.
Let's clear something up here, though. Skyler had, 16 runs on Saturday, and probably 8 of them were designed, 10 of them.
Well, and even that.
He took off on a lot of passes.
Yeah, I mean, one of the touchdowns was he was looking to pass, and, everyone's covered, and all the D-backs have their backs turned to me. See ya! And
so
right up the middle.
It's not like they're starting to turn him back into the battering ram that he was last year.
Totally different use of him.
And that's what we need to remember here. That said, I do believe they will continue to find creative ways to get him involved in the running game. Because if you think that Texas won't be ready for that option, you're crazy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how they build off of it. I think they'll show it and not really use it. They'll do something else out of it. There's a lot of stuff. What I love about this offense, And what we keep hearing over and over, Matt Walters being on the Insiders podcast is kind of fun because he's privy to all this stuff as part of the network. As part of their team. And he knows a lot of the things that are going on in preparation. What I love about this is, we use this formation and we've run this over and over. It's been greatly effective. But then we can do this out of that formation. We haven't shown it. There's a lot being held back. Look, some of Skyler's runs were on the option, and that was never planned to be a major part of the KU game plan. It was in there to use at the right time. They did. And then Courtney Messingham realized this defensive coordinator, who I don't even know his name.
Elliott,
has no idea how to stop the option. I think literally he had no clue how to stop the option.
So bad.
It was horrible. They never adjusted to it. They were lost the whole game. So, run it over and over and over. And it got to be kind of comically fun.
From GT Cat, how much better will Ehlinger likely look versus a secondary without A.J. Parker?
He was going to look good anyways.
He's good. I like him.
Damn good quarterback.
I like his moxie, his leadership, his toughness. He's a lot like Colin Klein. He's not quite at the level of Colin, but he'll stick his nose in there. He wants to run, and he'll throw just efficiently enough to keep you on your heels. I mean, his passing numbers aren't bad. Texas has the leading receiver in the conference, so maybe that's a problem. But I didn't see any drop off once AJ went out on Saturday. I think the depth at cornerback is so much better prepared than it was in the past.
Whatever numbers Sam Ehlinger puts up on Saturday, I don't think it's going to be like, let's say he puts up 260 and 2 touchdowns, just picking a number out of thin air. I don't think you can look at that and say, oh, well, if AJ would have played, he would have only had 180 and 1 touch. I mean, he's a good quarterback, and as good as this defense is, I don't believe they'll be able to shut down the Texas offense completely. And I think that'll be because Sam Ehlinger is so good. So, he might attack Darrell Patterson on the other corner. He might go after Walter Neal, who kind of got picked on a little bit one drive against KU, and that makes me a little bit worried. But I don't think that we'll be able to look at it and be like, man, if only they had AJ, it would have been drastically different, because I think he's going to get his yards and his touchdowns no matter what.
From Etame Bibi, do you like us ranked while the opponent not, or do you like us playing as an underdog?
Small rant time. I'm sick of I like us flying in under the radar.
We're not under the radar.
I hate that narrative.
K-State's not under the radar.
Number one, the rankings don't matter in terms of flying in under the radar. Maybe a couple players every now and then are like, oh, they're not ranked. The coaches on every staff in America don't care if you're ranked number 1, if you're ranked 15, if you're receiving 3 votes, if you're not receiving votes. It doesn't matter. Rankings are just for fun. And if K-State had lost to Oklahoma and done what they did to KU and they were barely receiving votes, Texas would still be on alert for K-State. I don't know how else to say it. I hate that narrative because I just don't think it makes any sense. I think it's something that people have drummed up in their head. Oh, as long as we're not ranked, we can surprise people. No. Everybody knows that K-State's going to be good. What they've seen on film is going to have them on their toes. So it doesn't matter to me. I don't care if K-State's 20 this week or if they were 10 right now.
Yeah. That's what I would say.
From Wizard6294, what location is most appealing for the media and fans to attend for a bowl game?
Well,
Paris.
If we're going to burn the travel budget, we might as well go big.
The ServPro First Responders Bowl in Dallas at SMU's stadium.
I mean, look, if you're telling me the money's no object, would really like to go to Orlando, Florida.
Absolutely. If money's not an object, Orlando, Florida is great, but...
And not just for us, for you guys, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Except the problem with that is it's the worst time of year to travel to Orlando, Florida. It's literally the worst time of year to travel to Orlando, Florida. It's when families are going over Christmas. The airfare is outrageous. It's tough to get to. I mean, I'm I'm heartbroken that the Big 12 isn't part of the new Las Vegas Bowl that will be played in the Raiders Stadium. But for this reason, that's the best time to get good airfare to Las Vegas because there's no conventions. Christmas time, the holidays, that break in there, nobody's got conventions out there. So room prices drop, the airfare drops because there's open seats. It's really an ideal place. I hope they actually have multiple bowls eventually in Las Vegas because it just makes a lot of sense. There's plenty of space for the fans to be accommodated, and it's an incredible town that's generally warm weather, particularly if you play a day game. And at night in Vegas, it might get a little crisp. It might be, upper 30s with no humidity, which will feel like the 20s. Look, it probably the best, closest bowl for fans outside of the New Year's Day bowls, Alamo.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of fans can make it to San Antonio. Your family can drive. Most K-State families that are going to bowl games can't afford to fly their entire family to Orlando. They just, especially that time of year, without planning. If you bought your tickets to go to Orlando in December, but you bought the tickets in September, then you're okay. But buying them on a month less notice,
I want to go to the Alamo Bowl. I'll put it that way.
It's redone, too. They've put a lot of money into it.
I think the Alamo Bowl is a pretty prestigious bowl in terms of Big 12. Once you're kind of knocked off those New Year's Sixes, I think that there's a lot of good vibes coming from that game. And
it's a great venue. Rooms all over the
inside
place.
Is nice. And it looks like there's some pretty fun matchups potentially in the works right now. I think the only reason that the Camping World Bowl is so exciting right now is because it has a Notre Dame matchup in all the projections. And I think people would love to play Notre Dame.
Absolutely. That'd be kind of cool.
But I don't think Notre Dame's going to end up there. So I don't really think that'll happen. But, I mean, it's looking like Utah is kind of one of the teams in the mix right now for the Alamo Bowl. That would be a lot of fun.
They're great fans.
You're going to draw somebody pretty good, I think. And I think it would make a good bowl game. Would we drive to San Antonio?
No.
Neat.
Probably not, unless it's outrageously expensive. But
we could do it. We could make it a journey and stay halfway. We could go to a Oklahoma casino at some point.
I refuse.
It's like, driving to Austin is depressing because you get to Dallas and it's still how many more hours? 3?
That's 3.
Then you get to Austin and it's still another 90 minutes. Hour to San Antonio?
I think about an hour and a half or so.
I feel bad for San Antonio. There was talk stirring up that they were making a run at the Chargers, and they were going to build a stadium between Austin and San Antonio. And all of a sudden, I read a great story in The Athletic that the Chargers are going to London probably.
Yeah, that's where it's leaning right now. Literally, while we were recording this podcast, another story came out. There's a lot of hoops that they have to jump through to get there.
Oh, absolutely.
They're building a stadium.
There's a brand new stadium built.
I don't think the Chargers are going to London.
I think they're going to share that stadium with the Rams.
Well, then you wouldn't be going to London then.
No, that's the point. Yeah, that's their idea is to stay in.
Oh,
but they're having ticket sale problems.
You're saying the new stadium in it. Got it.
Yeah. There's a new stadium in London for them that was built with NFL in mind.
Yeah.
With soccer and football.
Tottenham's new stadium.
And that'd be the home. But they would need, there's a lot, you're right, there's a lot of moving parts. They have to work out with England some kind of equity in taxing, and for players that would be based there, you have to figure out a United States-based home site where when they're in the States, they can practice there. Because you would come to the United States and play 2 or 3 games. You'd play road trips.
Scheduling would be a zoo.
It'd be a zoo because, first of all, they hadn't thought about it. They're out for night games. They couldn't ever play Sunday, Monday night game because it's the middle of the night there. And the day games are like 6 and 9 p.m., something like that. It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're already playing. I say you just always play them early. You play them like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for them, so it's really early over here, and you get another time slot.
It's 8 a.m.
They've started doing that.
Yeah.
Found out the hard way this week.
I love it. I think it's really cool.
I had a receiver in.
Boy, we ended up in the weeds here, and it's all my fault. But I still feel like the Jaguars are going to end up over there. Jacksonville's just trash. And plus, if you move a AFC West team to London, you've got to realign. The Texans would go to the West. It gets very complicated.
Don't have to realign.
Oh, yeah. You can't have teams from the AFC West traveling every year to London.
I don't think it matters if you're Kansas City or if you're New York or if you're Seattle.
They'd have to go the long way around to keep it west.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. It's at least 3 hours of travel.
I think when you're out of the country, it is what it is at that point.
No. Well, that's the other thing. They said when that division is playing teams, like right now, the AFC West is playing the NFC Central on the schedule. That's just how it lines up every year. You play someone. They would have to line up. This is where the scheduling gets difficult. If you are going to play the Seattle Seahawks, have to go to London the week before it. They have to play on the East Coast somewhere. So you can make that easy trip, and then they can access the same facility the London team uses for practice.
How the hell did we get here?
I caused it. Let's get back on track. It's the PowerCat Questions podcast. We talk about K-State. I just got us into the NFL. I apologize.
We were talking about bowl games.
Oh, yeah, San Antonio. That's right.
Hey,
don't worry. They're going to the Cactus Bowl.
I think the bowl games for this conference suck. They need to be refreshed, and they passed on refreshing the bowls.
I mean, honestly, and I'm just thinking of this off the top of my head, might not be true. Is there any possibility that a lot of the reason they're not realigning is because all of these bowls suck, and they don't want to give them to the SEC? They don't want to give them to the Big Ten? I mean, the Big 12 has the shaft right now in bowls. They do.
Pac-12 is worse. I mean, they did get a few bowls. They get any decent bowl on the West Coast are part of, but their bowls are nonsense.
I want it to be that K-State goes to the Rose Bowl.
See, I think that the Camping World Bowl is appealing right now is because K-State's never been there.
No, I agree. I think it's the most appealing if you back up, it's the coolest bowl to go to for the program. I just think about the fans, and that really would be a difficult thing. But K-State fans are crazy, man. They will pack up the family, and they will drive to wherever, Nashville, somewhere in between, and then drive to Orlando. They will make an entire holiday Chevy Chase adventure out of this thing. It would be fun to have a family document video style their entire trip and put it on Go PowerCat.
Sounds like a lot of work for Zach.
That's my idea here.
I mean,
keep Zach out of trouble.
You got a 20-hour drive, so you drive to, probably Nashville, stay the night. You could do 10 and 10. And
20-hour drive. Well, that's where you guys will stay when you drive.
How far is Fargo?
What? Wait, what?
How far is Fargo for all those North Dakota State fans they're going to come down to? Because you know that there's going to be a ton of double dippers. Oh, we're going to go to Orlando and then go to Frisco.
That'd be 26 hours. Huh. TripAdvisor's telling me right now $75 cheap flights from Fargo to Orlando. I don't think that's entirely accurate.
Hey, just do it. Hop on TripAdvisor, whatever, and do what's the dates of that bowl game?
I could pull
Saturday the 28th, I think.
I'll pull up my bowl projections here at the same time. Do you want me going out of Kansas City?
Yeah.
Kansas City. No, there it is. I was like, how do you not have MCI on here? Let's see. Did you say it was the 29th?
The 28th, Saturday the 28th, I believe.
Okay, so we would fly out.
Just do it for the fans. Fly the 26th.
Okay.
And come back
on the 29th.
Yeah, whatever.
One person is what we'll do. Looks like TripAdvisor has to sort a bunch of... No, I don't want to continue with my email. $397. You can fly Spirit.
Yeah.
out of MCI.
It's named that because they'll break your spirit as you fly with them.
It's a nonstop flight.
Ooh. I'd rather connect twice.
Or you can connect in Dallas. No, that's not Dallas. What's DTW?
Detroit.
You can connect in Detroit for $378.
What possibly could go wrong connecting through Detroit in December?
Wait, the connection is also Spirit?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not
These are all
Delta?
Spirit. These are all Spirit flights.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Spirit's going to be by far the cheapest. Find a non-Spirit airline. And, of course, Southwest wouldn't be on there.
Yeah, Southwest just says C deal.
Yeah.
American, $755.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I know. Guys, you might be flying Spirit. And I'm sorry, but that's just a reality. It is not financially feasible for fans to go to this bowl game.
$755?
Every family in the country is trying to go. Not every, but tons of families are just going to Orlando for the holidays. A lot of families do that. If you're cold weather, you go to Orlando and celebrate Christmas in Orlando.
Wow.
I mean, my family went to Florida for Christmas. We had relatives there.
That's insane, man.
Let's move on.
All right. From Jay
That was a
Bullen.
long question.
From Jay Bullen, PSU, another new one. Welcome. Is 10 wins a realistic expectation at this point of the year? Is there any chance that we could make the Big 12 championship game?
Realistic? No. I mean, that's getting greedy, but if you just start picking them off, if you get this weekend out of the way, it becomes a lot more tangible. The next 2 weekends are West Virginia, Manhattan. You go to Texas Tech. That might be broken by the time you get there. And then you don't know. Iowa State's coming to Manhattan. We know that series. It turns into chaos.
I mean, look, if you win this weekend, I think you can start having a serious conversation about it because you should beat Texas Tech and you should beat West Virginia. Iowa State is, like Fitz said, pretty wild, but I feel good about it being at home and the way that K-State's playing right now. But you got to win this weekend. I mean, that's a big one. And so, yeah, 10 wins is possible. Big 12 championship, here's the problem, is you could go 4-0 down the stretch and you still need help. How crazy is that? K-State could finish 10-2, 7-2 in the Big 12, and still needs help from other teams to get into the Big 12 championship game. Because Oklahoma has the one loss, Baylor has no losses. And if Oklahoma beats Baylor and then they win out outside of that, they're going. So you either need a Baylor collapse, like 3 losses, or Baylor to beat Oklahoma. As sick as it's going to make you feel, you have to cheer for Baylor the rest of the way. You have to want Baylor to win out.
Or lose out.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen. So Baylor and Kansas State at 11 a.m. in Dallas. Talk about the lowest conference championship ratings of all time. The Pac-12 championship on Friday night will have better numbers.
Now we go to the Big 12 championship on ESPN+.
They would, though.
I mean, it's on FS1.
Oh, it is?
Or it's on, I mean, that's decided.
Fox this year?
It's either FS1 or
Is this their
ESPN.
last one?
I don't know.
The ESPN Plus deal took the Big 12 championship away from Fox.
Did it?
That's what was the big part of the deal for ESPN.
Oh, ABC.
Yeah,
On
they
ABC.
get all the games now.
No big noon Saturday championship game?
College game day would not be at the Big 12 championship. It'd
No.
be at the SEC championship, obviously.
No, they wouldn't.
Man.
It'd be kind of fun. I'm a chaos guy. It would just explode minds if that happened.
You know what it would do? Wreck some plans that I've made for the beginning of that weekend of December.
Yeah.
I didn't ever think we'd be in this position.
What I caution people to get through this weekend and then really start to think about
Yeah.
this thing, because I believe this. The way the Big 12 is shaking out right now, I think the conference might get 2 teams into the New Year's Six.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if Oklahoma ends up winning and Baylor has, well, Baylor's going to get that second loss hung on them in the conference championship.
And they're not going to put a 2-loss Baylor in the New Year's Six.
It depends on what else is out there, but you're probably right.
I mean, if they lost twice to Oklahoma.
Look, you're going to have 2 SEC teams in the playoff. Ohio State. Clemson. Then you'll have...
No ACC teams.
No, but you'll have Minnesota.
Nah, they're going to get...
Unless they fall apart, but then you're going to put Penn State in there.
Well, doesn't Minnesota have tough games coming up?
Penn State. But Penn State's still a top 10 team.
Well, I know. But
So I'm saying if Penn State wins...
Minnesota is... They played a candy-ass schedule. Hell, they play Nebraska. How tough is that
They'll
schedule?
pop Oregon in there. They'll pop...
Boise State or whoever the
Cinderella team that thinks that they deserve to be in the playoffs.
Well,
Sorry, Appalachian
Well,
State.
it's not even that. It's just whoever the group of 5 team is.
Group of
they
six.
get-
I
or
don't.
Group of 6,
I guess
they
what I'm
get a
trying to
slot.
say is I don't foresee two Big 12 teams in the year 6.
They got to fill the slots. It'll be interesting. But my point is if they get through this weekend, they get their 7th win. A 9-win K-State team's probably going to the Camping World Bowl, and maybe an 8-win team because of you, the fans. You're notorious for travel. But if it's Notre Dame going there, you know they're going to want Texas. They're going to want something really to spike their ratings. So, it used to be back in the day, the bowl committee would go in the room and pick the team they wanted to be there as, visitors to their city. And now it's the TV executives saying, hey, we own the rights to your bowl. We want Texas over Kansas State. So, yeah, we'll see. But get through this weekend, and then you can start worrying about these things.
From Emonica, should we just treat every win from here on out as gravy for this season?
Gravy?
Well, I was going to say
No, I mean,
Gravy.
Well, yes, but no at the same time. We had the 6 to 7 win expectation at the start of the season. That's where we put the bar. And obviously things have changed. So yes, let's say hypothetically K-State goes 1-3 down the stretch and finishes 7-5. Technically, yes, that meets the expectation of what we have or what we had set. But expectations can change, I think it's not. I don't think it's out of line to change your expectations. So, yes, it'd be technically gravy, quote unquote, for what your preseason thoughts were. But my thoughts have changed. My minimum expectation right now is 8-4 because you're in a really good position. So that's just where I'm at on that.
Yeah, I'm going to take you literally. Treating it like gravy. I don't want 4 scoops of gravy. That's a lot of gravy. But I kind of agree with you. I do. I think 7-8 wins, that was still in the believable range. I'm sorry if you did this, because I'm going to call your name. Only the lunatics thought 9 or 10. I mean, come on. New coach, coming off a 5-win season, same players. It wasn't realistic to sit there and say 9 wins. It just wasn't. You could work that out in your head, and as it turns out, you would have been right. But get through this weekend. 7 wins, okay. 8 wins, feeling pretty bonus-like. And beyond that, I'll take the gravy.
From I Like Pickles Cat, has Klieman met expectations for his first year already? And if he has, why are people wanting to drum up new expectations in November?
Well,
they're not holding him to this.
It's not like if he doesn't go 8-4, I'm going to look at him and go, wow, what a failure by Coach Klieman, But I've changed my expectations based on the good job he has done. If things go poorly, yeah, I will be a little bit, I don't want to say unhappy, but I would be a little disappointed in the downfall of the team. He has met what we expected of him, yes, but now we expect more of him because we've seen it. It wasn't a fluke that they beat Oklahoma. It wasn't a fluke that they annihilated KU. And if they beat Texas, you're allowed to continue to change your thoughts on what you can expect out of this season.
I think it's unfair to say, well, they had 6 wins and 4 to play, and they only won 8. That's a failure. That's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. It's okay to be disappointed if they end up 6-6. Sure, they ended the season on a 4-game losing streak. I get that, but you should also keep that place parked. 6 wins. They improved from last year. Yeah, I don't think expectations should change. Hopes can change. And I think even if you were a lunatic and picked 9-10 wins, it was hopeful. Man, I really hope they can win 10. Wouldn't that be incredible? Keep that in mind. It would be incredible if they won 10. It'd be incredible if they won 9. It'd be really impressive if they won 8. Just enjoy this. In terms of the question, was it gravy? It should be to you in terms of pleasure. It's like, wow, 7 wins. That's better. 8 wins. Just go for the ride. Be part of the process. Just get it going.
Couple of basketball questions to round us out here. From K-Ned, is David Sloan the best point guard, and should he be the primary ball handler with Jada playing off of him at the 2?
I think David Sloan's the best point guard on the team. Skill-wise, I don't think he has it figured out yet.
He doesn't have the defense figured out.
Yeah.
He's got work to do. I get the point. I think this team will be very comfortable when he comes in and slides Jada over. I don't think he'll start.
You don't think he'll ever start, or you don't think he'll start like tonight, you mean?
I don't think he'll start.
Okay.
You mean tonight, last night?
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Whatever.
Unless there's an injury. I just don't think.
Right.
I mean, but I think we've seen in the past, and it was Cardi coming off the bench. When they put him in and slid people around, it kind of worked. But I think you're right. When Sloan comes in, they slide Cardi over. But that probably brings Gordon off the floor.
Yeah, well, it's got to get on the floor. Like all the starting lineup first.
Yeah, true.
He's the best point guard. Like I said, on pure talent alone, we've seen that. And I think once he gets adjusted to this game, we're going to see. I'll admit it right now before he takes off, because I think he will take off. I think I underestimated him. I thought he was good. I thought it was a fine get, but I wasn't, because that was right in the Caleb Grill recruitment time, and I was like, well. He's not Caleb Grill, but I think I may have been wrong about that a little bit.
But at the end of the day, he's a 2-year player, and so that makes a difference. But he is going to be. They did a really good job with this recruiting class, as opposed to last year's.
Yeah, and we're seeing that.
It's gone up in smoke, flavored smoke.
Last question of the podcast from T. Newman 41: Will Levi Stockard start when the regular season begins?
I hope he doesn't start another game. It doesn't sound like he was very likely to start this one, because someone asked Bruce about Levi on Monday, and he said, I gave him a chance to start there. Got to see more. Look, if you can't get up and get excited for a starting opportunity against Emporia State and Washburn,
he's too mechanical. He just goes through the motions. His mechanics might get better, but there doesn't seem to be much zeal in his play. He needs to back up Mikal Moeen, and sometimes the 2 freshmen will be at the 4 and the 5. But that needs to be his role.
I mean, I was more impressed by a true freshman.
You should be embarrassed if you're at Stockard. Wasn't he a 4-star?
Yep.
Come on, man. Up your play. I don't think they're done recruiting. I don't think they're done recruiting for 2020. I think there's going to be a junior college guy added in, or someone.
Could be.
Or they're going to write an open scholarship into 21.
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying
I don't
Stockard's gone. I'm just saying they need more help at big man.
I don't mean to continue to throw kids under the bus, but tell me what you've seen out of Levi Stockard to make me think there's something there potentially.
On a consistent basis, I'm going to hurt some feelings. If you're starting Levi Stockard and or Mike McGurl in the Big 12, you're not as competitive as you want to be. They're good role players off the bench. They should embrace that idea that I'm going to come in off the bench and add something to whatever. Levi adds a big body that can defend and rebound. He's got some offensive skills, but he just doesn't seem to be passionate about going about it. So I think we're going to see eventually 2 freshmen in the starting lineup. I've said that early on. And if you embrace this season for what it is, a transition into the next generation of Kansas State basketball with this and the next recruiting class, getting freshmen that kind of experience and really loading up on their playing time is the best thing for the program. And they're good. These kids are good. It's a great recruiting class. That's it for the PowerCat podcast. We went long.
Well, we did.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun to beat KU.
It's fun to beat KU. Basketball's here. They had a game last night, and I don't know how they did because we recorded this before the game. It's like magic. Remember, folks, to sign up for your CBS All Access Pass if you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and do it, man. It's a $100 value we're going to give you for free as long as you're a VIP member. So do it. I just got some stats. Less than 20% of our active subscribers have activated their All Access Pass. It's free. Now, if you don't stream at all, I get it. But if you're so old, excuse me, I'm going to talk to my peeps here. If you're so old that you don't stream, but you do have a computer, CBS has a catalog of some of the greatest programming in the history of television that you can access. Maybe you don't want the new programming. Maybe you don't care about the new shows that are on CBS. But that catalog of old stuff, that's incredible. You should access it past. Just go up to your settings, your badge, your icon up there, and click there and click the CBS All Access, and it'll walk you right through it. Activate it. If you're not a subscriber, do it. It's time. Everyone's coming over. It's going to be fun. We're having a blast. Our boards are really blowing up with great discussion in a non-hostile environment. GoPowerCat.com. Things are really kicking butt right now, just like your Wildcats. We'll talk to you soon.
You've been listening to the PowerCat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. PowerCat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.